My name is Chetan Gupta and I am presenting our result, Efficient Isolation of Perfect Matching in O-log and genus bipartite graphs. This is a joint work with Vimal Raj Sharma and Raghunath Tiwari. So let me start with few definitions. So perfect matching is a set of disjoint edges in a graph such that each vertex of the graph fall exactly on one of the edges. Now decision perfect matching is a problem that we are given a graph and we need to answer whether graph has a perfect matching or not. SPL is a class of problem that are reducible to computing the determinant of a matrix with the promise that determinant is either 0 or 1, and it is a subset of the class NC, which is a class of problem that can be solved by parallel algorithms efficiently. Our decision, it is an open question whether decision version of perfect matching can be solved in SPL or not. So in 1999, Allender, Reinhardt and Zhao made progress toward this question, and they showed that decision perfect matching can be solved in non-uniform SPL. So non-uniform SPL is a SPL algorithm where in addition to the input string, machine also takes an advice string for each input length. So this advice string actually consists of polynomially many weight functions with the property that with respect to at least one weight function, the minimum weight perfect matching in the graph is unique. Therefore, if we can construct such weight function in log space, that means we can avoid taking this advice string, then we can show that decision perfect matching can be solved in SPL. So in this result, we give construction of such weight function for O-log and genus bipartite graphs, and thus implying showing that decision perfect matching in O-log and genus bipartite graphs can be solved in SPL. So previously, such weight functions have been constructed for various subclasses of graphs like planar graph, constant genus graphs, K3 free, K5 free graphs, general bipartite graphs, and general graphs. For general bipartite graph, we have weight function of size n to the power log n, and for general graph, we have weight function of size n to the power log square n. And for log n genus graph, we construct weight function of size polynomial. So let me first formally define what is a weight function. So a weight function is a function which assigns integer weights to the edges of the edges of the graph, and a weight function is called skew symmetric if for all edge e of the graph, weight of e is negative of weight of e reverse. That means if it gives some weight to an edge of the graph, and if we reverse the direction of that edge, the weight this new edge gets is the negative of the weight earlier. So yeah, so notice that skew symmetric weight function makes sense only in context of directed graph. So if we have a, let's say G is the class of directed graph, if we can construct a skew symmetric weight function W such that it gives non-zero weight to all the nice cycle of the graphs in that class, then we can say that it isolates a perfect matching in all of those graphs. So I'll define what is a nice cycle. So yeah, so for perfect matching problem, we are given an undirected graph, and as we mentioned earlier, that skew symmetric weight function makes sense only in context of directed graph. So first, given an undirected graph, we assign direction to the edges of this graph. Let's say we assign direction to all the edges from left to right. Now let's say we have a weight function W which is skew symmetric, and it gives non-zero weight to all the cycles, all the nice cycles in this graph. I mean, there is no cycle in this graph, but there can be other graphs in the same class which have directed cycles, and W give non-zero weight to all the nice cycle in those graphs. Now we will show that there cannot exist two minimum weight perfect matching with respect to such weight function. So let's say M1 and M2 are two minimum weight perfect matching in G with respect to W. So one perfect matching is this blue edges and other is this orange edges. So we take the disjoint union of these two perfect matchings. So top and bottom edge are common, so we'll remove them, and rest of the edges are CG and BF and CF and BG. Now since the weight of m1 and m2 are same, we can say that weight of these two orange edges is same as weight of these two blue edges, because if it is not the case, assume these blue edges have less weight than the orange edges, then we can take these blue edges here and two orange edges here, and we can obtain a smaller weight perfect matching than m1 and m2. Therefore we can conclude that weight of these two oranges is same as weight of these two blue edges. Now consider another graph in which we reverse the direction of these two blue edges. So this is a nice cycle. So notice that now this CGBFC becomes a directed cycle, and it is a nice cycle because nice cycles are those cycles which are found by taking the disjoint union of two perfect matchings. So this is a nice cycle, and we know that W gives non-zero weight to this cycle. Therefore we can conclude that weight of CG minus weight of BG plus weight of BF minus weight of CF is non-zero, because the weight function is skew symmetric, and from there we can conclude that weight of CG plus BF is not same as weight of CF plus BG, which is a contradiction to what we have established earlier. Therefore we can conclude that there cannot exist two minimum weight perfect matching in the graph with respect to weight function W. So for log n genus graphs, we also construct a similar kind of weight function which gives non-zero weight to some nice cycles of the graph. So let me first define what is a G genus graph. So a G genus graph is a graph that can be embedded on a surface of genus G, and a G genus surface is a surface with G many holes in it. So this is a genus 1 surface and this is a genus 2 surface, and the genus G surface can be represented by a polygon of 4 G sides. So this can be represented by a polygon of 4 sides, and this can be represented by a polygon of 8 sides. And these cycles are identified in pairs. So S1 is a pair of S1 prime, S2 is a pair of S2 prime, and so on. So just show that how this polygon is obtained. So let's say we have a genus 1 surface. First we cut it vertically, we get a cylinder kind of structure. Now we cut it horizontally, we get this polygon kind of thing. Now during this surgery and cutting operation, some edges may remain unaffected, and some might get in the way of cutting operation. So notice that edges like UV, VW, WX, these remain unaffected during the cutting operation. So the graph induced by all those edges which remain unaffected during the cutting operation, that form actually a planar graph, because you can embed that graph in a plane without intersecting the edges. And so remember that our goal is to give non-zero weight to some cycles. So if those cycles are contained in this subgraph, this planar subgraph, then we can use the weight function constructed for planar graphs in one of the earlier results. So therefore our main focus will be on those edges which are crossing some side of the schema. So crossing, so let's say this edge Vx, it was cut during the cutting operation. So we'll say that this Vx is crossing the side S2 and S2 prime. Similarly, we'll say WU is crossing the side S1 and S1 prime. So we'll construct a new weight function for these kind of edges. So here we'll say that U is incidenting on V is incidenting on S2, W is incidenting on S1 prime, and X is incidenting on S2 prime, and so on. So to assign weight to these edges, first we index them in the clockwise order. So let's say indexed this edge UX1 and VXU and so on. So let's say E is an edge which is crossing some side. So if a tail of an edge crossing some side at index I, we assign it a weight I, and if its head is incidenting on some side, we'll assign it a weight -i, and of course we have a weight function for planar graphs, and we take a linear combination of these two weight functions and we multiply w side by a big number such that these two weight functions do not interfere with each other. Now we will show that with respect to this weight function there are polynomially many, at most polynomially many perfect matching in O log n genus bipartite graphs. So not a unique, but we can isolate at most polynomially many perfect matching. So before that let me define a signature of a graph. So let's say S1, S2 till S2G are the sides of the polygonal schema. So there are 4G sides. We take one side from each pair of sides and we define a signature of a matching as M as a 2G bit binary string B1, B2 till B2G. So Bi is 1 if number of edges of M crossing some side Si is odd, and otherwise it is 0. So now we define we classify all this matching into different classes. So Ci is a class of perfect matching with signature I, where I is represented as a 2G bit binary string. So for a G genus graph we have 2 to the power 2G many classes because signature is 2G bit long, and we'll show that there is at most one minimum weight perfect matching in each class with respect to our weight function. So let's say M1 and M2 are two minimum weight perfect matching within a class, let's say Ci, and again we take the disjoint union of M1 and M2 reverse, and C1 and C2, C1, C2 till Cj are the set of cycle obtained by taking the disjoint union. Now since signature of M1 and M2 are same, and in disjoint edges we remove the common edges, so we can say that these set of cycles C1, C2 till Cj will collectively cross each side of the polygonal schema an even number of times. I mean it may happen that some cycle is crossing some side an odd number of times, but if we look at the edges of these cycle collectively, they will cross each side of the schema an even number of times. If such is the case, then we can say that weight of at least one of the cycle is non-zero. So one thing to notice here is if any of these cycle is contained in that planar part of the graph, then we can say that with respect to our weight function WPL, that cycle gets non-zero weight. Therefore we can assume that all of these cycles are crossing some side of the polygonal schema. So I'll try to explain it via example. Let's say we have two cycles, one is orange and one is blue. So cycles are F, G, H, D, E, F and C, A, B, C, and notice that collectively they are crossing both S1 and S2 an even number of times, although this these cycle individually crossing S2 an odd number of times. So we'll show that at least one of these cycle get non-zero weight. So to prove that, first we consider the underlying undirected cycle of these cycles. Now we assign direction to the edges of this cycle from scratch. So we'll assign direction, we let's say start from the edge HD, we assign it some direction, let's say upward. Now to the next edge we assign it the direction opposite to the direction of HD. So if HD was upward, we assign EF downward, and similarly to GH we assign rightward, and to AC we assign leftward, and so on. So after this, after we assign these new direction, it can happen that direction of some cycle remains same. So if we look at this orange cycle, its direction is same as the earlier, but for this blue cycle, sorry, sorry. So yeah, so there are few more edges which we need to assign the direction. So notice that these rest of the edges are actually a part of kind of path, such that its end edges have some direction. So we assign direction to rest of the edges in such a way that it becomes a directed path. So similar like this become a directed path, and this E, F, G, H become a directed path, and so on. So now we'll show that direction of at least one of these cycle is non-zero, and since the weight function is skew symmetric, we can say that direction of weight of all these at least one of the cycle in the left hand side is also non-zero. So let's say if blue cycle in the right schema has non-zero weight, so since the weight function is skew symmetric, we can say that weight of the blue cycle in left hand side is also non-zero. So notice that our weight function W side assign weight to only those edges which are crossing some side, and assume that HD is crossing some side. HD is crossing S1 at index I1, EF is crossing S1 at index J1, and GH is crossing S2 at index I2, and AC is crossing S2 at index J2. So we know that I1 is less than J1 and I2 is less than J2, and weight of HD is I1 and weight of EF is minus J1, and so on. Therefore we can say that weight of HD plus weight of GS plus weight of FE plus CA is non-zero. That means total weight of these edges is non-zero, and weight of the rest of the edges, all the other edges get weight 0 with respect to W side. That means total weight of this cycle is non-zero, and hence there exists at least one cycle whose weight is non-zero. That means there cannot exist two minimum weight perfect matchings in one class. And for O log n genus graphs, there are polynomially many classes. So now we use the hashing scheme of Friedman, Komlos, and Zemredi to isolate a unique minimum weight perfect matching among the polynomially many perfect matching we obtained in the previous step. So this hashing scheme says if we have a polynomially many object and they have, let's say, exponential weights. Now if we take their weights modulo polynomially many primes of polynomial size, and if their weight were different earlier, then with respect to at least one of the prime, then with respect to at least one of the primes, their weight will still remain distinct. So let's say we index the edges of the graph E1, E2 till some EM, and we assign weight 2 to the power I to the edge EI. Now with respect to this weight, all the polynomially many matching obtained in previous step get different weight. Then we go modulo polynomially many primes of polynomial size, and we know that with respect to at least one of the prime, their weight remain distinct. That means minimum weight perfect matching among those polynomially many perfect matching is unique, and hence we have proved our construction. So with respect to each prime we get a different weight function, and since there are polynomially many primes, we get polynomially many weight function.